Hey there! Thanks for stopping by. Let's dive into something amazing together. Welcome to Next Gen EduBuddies. Don't forget to hit those buttons below to stay connected. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's keep exploring together.
The mist at the summit of Mount Olympus does not drift. It clings to the stone, swirling in tight, unnatural spirals. Dawn arrives not with warmth, but with a sharp, piercing golden light that tears through the storm clouds. The peak vibrates. It is a low, guttural thrum that rattles the teeth and makes the very air feel heavy. At the center of this turbulence sits the throne. It is forged from solid, unyielding metal, cold to the touch and massive in scale. The figure seated upon it remains perfectly still. His hair and beard lash out in the rising gale, whipped by winds that howl against the cliffside. He does not lean back. He does not flinch. His eyes are the only point of movement, glowing with a steady, electric rhythm that matches the pulse of the mountain itself. The storm does not dictate his pace. It waits for him. Every breath he draws seems to pull the static from the surrounding clouds, drawing the energy toward the center of the peak. He is the anchor of the storm, motionless, ancient, and entirely in command of the silence that precedes the strike. The stillness finally shattered. He shifted his weight, and the sound of metal grinding against stone echoed across the platform. He reached out with his right hand, fingers splayed wide against the thin, freezing mountain air. At first, there was only the sound of the wind. Then, the air between his fingers began to warp, twisting like glass held over a furnace. A faint, violet glow bled into the space, casting sharp, flickering shadows against the floor. He tightened his grip, as if clutching a solid object. The air screamed. A jagged arc of white-hot lightning erupted from his palm, bridging the gap between his fingertips with a violent, electric stutter. It was not a steady glow. It was a hungry, thrashing thing. A deafening snap tore through the silence of the summit, louder than the thunder that had rolled in the distance. The shock wave rattled the stone beneath him, sending shards of ice skittering toward the precipice. The ozone grew thick, sharp enough to taste. He held his hand steady, watching the white-hot current snake and coil, waiting for the exact moment to release the fury he had gathered. He rose. The throne groaned under the sudden shift of his weight, the metal legs digging deep grooves into the stone floor. He did not rush, yet every step toward the cliff edge felt like a tectonic shift. The mountain beneath his feet shuddered in response to his movement, sending a cascade of loose pebbles tumbling into the abyss below. He reached the precipice and stopped. The wind whipped his hair across his face, but he remained anchored, his focus locked on the vast, gray expanse of the horizon. He drew back his right arm, the white-hot current coiling around his forearm like a living, jagged vine. The air grew impossibly thin, ionized and heavy with the scent of burning sky. With a single, fluid motion, he thrust his arm forward. The horizon vanished. A network of massive, blinding lightning bolts erupted from his hand, tearing through the cloud cover with a sound like the world itself splitting in two. The sky turned a violent, saturated violet, bleaching the morning light into nothingness. The fury of the strike was absolute, a web of pure electric wrath that shattered the clouds and illuminated the jagged peaks for miles in every direction. The sky-shattering discharge did not dissipate. It cascaded downward, a waterfall of raw electricity pouring into the sea. Below the mountain, the water reacted with violent immediacy. The ocean's surface buckled, forced downward by the sheer weight of the strike before rebounding in a massive, churning wall of black water. Waves, tall as cathedral spires, rose from the depths, their crests foaming with white, turbulent energy. They accelerated toward the cliffs, driven by the rhythmic pulse of the storm. Impact was inevitable. A colossal swell slammed into the base of the mountain, the sound echoing like a mountain collapsing from within. Spray launched hundreds of feet into the air, turning to mist before it could fall back. Another wave followed, larger than the last, shattering against the jagged stone with enough force to vibrate the very foundation of the peak. The water retreated, exposing miles of dark, slick seabed, only to surge forward again in a frantic, uncoordinated assault. The entire coastline became a theater of liquid chaos. Zeus watched from the height, his gaze fixed on the churning surface, as the sea bent, twisted, and broke under the unrelenting pressure of his command. The relentless roar of the storm began to thin. The thunder, once a deafening roar, downgraded to a low, rhythmic vibration that pulsed through the stone beneath his feet. Slowly, the thick, bruised clouds began to fracture. They pulled apart like torn fabric, drifting away from the peak to reveal a sky clearing with impossible speed. A shaft of brilliant, golden light broke through the gap, striking the mountaintop and turning the mist into a glowing, ethereal veil. Behind him, the atmosphere ignited. A perfect, circular halo of pure solar light formed, framing his silhouette against the vast, empty expanse of the horizon. He did not move. He stood at the edge of the world, holding the silent spear of lightning, its tip no longer crackling but glowing with a soft, steady heat. The wind died down to a whisper, then vanished entirely. The air became still, heavy with the weight of his presence. He stared out over the fractured landscape below, his gaze unblinking and devoid of effort. The world had been broken and reshaped by his will, and now it waited in total, absolute silence for his next command. He remained there, a statue of authority, carved against the light of a new, quiet dawn.
Don't forget to click subscribe and join the family. There's so much more coming your way. Subscribe now and never miss out on the fun.